cause I can do it my way. Me making music's like shooting hoops in the driveway.
Okay. Today on Mastered with Mike, I'm sitting down with Dave Boller, an entrepreneur and owner I met in a way that feels really odd, but also perfect for the show. I met Dave by going to his ice cream shop way more times than I should. They have delicious Froyo. I go for the ice cream, and his wife's overnight oats were amazing. And we just got to talking, and Dave's got a casual attitude about him. He's very, very personable. And then, we would talk every so often. And then it turns out that, Dave's a serial entrepreneur who basically is an owner of one of my favorite restaurants. And then it also turns out he's a good friend of one of my friends from high school, Mark, who was just on the podcast. So, you think you're grabbing ice cream, and the next thing you know, you're sitting down with somebody who deserves attention. He fits perfectly into the ethos of our show. He has passion, he has persistence, he has grit, and I'm really looking forward to digging into what helped, shape this in him, and also what he has going on for the future. So, Dave, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here and you being my number one customer at Cafe Squirrel.
The place is awesome. It really is so good, and I wish the oats were back. I would say I'll put in a request.
Yeah, supply and demand.
Exactly. They can't be easy to make. So, so Dave, you're an entrepreneur through and through, right? You took a path that is, pretty daunting for a lot of people, right? Like, how did you start off? Like, as a kid, right? Were you always the kind of person that took risks, or what were you like growing up?
Yeah, I think I was pretty risk averse. Like, the risk and never really bothered me. I always liked kind of being on the front edge of things. I recall, my first gig as a kid was, my paper route, and actually before that, I used to cut my mother's azaleas down when I was in first grade and go sell them around the neighborhood, and she would have to follow the pedals to see where I was at, and so that was my first sale job, my first business. And people did, they pay me 50 cents for a little azalea. But yeah, that was the start. And from there, it's always been, my father was an entrepreneur. He owned his own business. My uncle, I always just enjoyed that part of it, being able to be in control and create your own destiny, for better or for worse. There's obviously peaks and valleys in everything you do. And then that was the passion. That's how it all started. It moved into, after college, what am I going to do after I went to Oneonta State? I thought, man, I think I need to go to APEC Technical School. I didn't know what to do. It was in '95, and again, in the roots of startup businesses, I got involved in the internet and working for Excite.com in 1995. I was one of the first 5 employees in New York. And so that started the entire internet explosion. I was really fortunate to be a part of that and learn marketing and interactive advertising at the same time, and took that career for 25 years. Worked in the city, advertising exec, worked with some great publishers, and learned the art of sales, learned the art of understanding what it takes to have a great product, and that the product really is what makes the sale. And loving people, just being out there, talking to people, understanding needs, wants, and try to be able to solve problems for them through my products.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing I noticed about you. When I first met you at your Cafe Swirls, I didn't know that you were the owner, but you were out there front and center, talking, scooping ice cream, putting out candies and stuff like that. So, I mean, that definitely, says a lot about the way you run your businesses. It's funny, like, it seems like you chose, after your .com career, you chose probably the hardest entrepreneur career to go into, which is the food services industry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like either it hits or it doesn't. And there's so much capital that you need to back that up. So kind of what made you choose to go into the food industry?
Well, I always wanted to own a beer garden. I can remember, and I tell this
man,
story,
you and me both.
being on Douglaston Golf Course with my buddies and wanting to, shank in the bowl left and right, and just wanted to go get a beer. And, it was something I really, really wanted to do. And honestly, didn't do it for the longest time, being in the advertising business. Um, but was, wow, this is a big undertaking, and fear really driving my delay into making the jump. I think the watershed moment for me to open up the restaurant was the death of my mother, who had
Uh-huh.
early onset Alzheimer's, and she passed at like 60. We started seeing symptoms at about 58, and then she passed 10 years later. And that was just eye opening. And, understanding that life and time isn't infinite, and
Hmm.
that I don't know if I have the gene or if I don't have the gene, but I know that this is something I want to do. And I just made the jump. So I resigned from my gig, found the location, and went for it. Spent my primarily my life savings, on it, and built out this beautiful beer garden in East Meadow, New York, called Garden Social.
Yeah, it's awesome. We
Indoor,
love it.
outdoor, great food, great great beer systems, and so
Yeah.
on. Great staff and great ambiance. So it just kind of just went for it, and thank God it worked. It really
Hmm.
was niche and a great location. In between two arteries, the Wantaw and the Meadowbrook Parkways, and we pull people in from as far from Manhattan, come out to our spot.
Yeah, it's funny. I live right over by there, and the area you chose, there was really nothing there. It was like a crappy mall with like a Dick's that closed down or whatever, or Modell's, and then you guys made it the premier spot. Like
Yeah,
really, I think back in the day there was a really shitty club that was there from like high school that we used to go to called
yeah,
Carrington's or something like
Zachary's
that.
and
Zachary's, yeah.
so Zachary's was the preeminent club along with Chelsea Street in that
Hmm.
parking lot. And there was this old Irish pub called God, what was the name of it? Callahan's, which was
Right.
just a staple in East Meadow.
Uh-huh.
And it took me 4 years to find the location. I was involved in trying to build a driving range in Flushing, um,
Wow.
by the old Shea Stadium, where the New York Times building is along the Whitestone Expressway. And it got really far down the road, and ultimately it didn't happen. But it was, what an experience in
Hmm.
working with government agencies, the mayor, the whole nine. Like, people were really excited. They called us the Golf City guys,
That's
but it
awesome.
never came to fruition. But so during that time, I was looking for an outdoor spot, which was the hardest thing to find, was something outdoors where it kind of fit my vision of the outdoor pergola, the outdoor bar, the whole Brooklyn meets East Meadow vibe. And that's how it
Yeah.
plays.
Oak Chalet is for sale, by the way, in Belmore. If you're looking to make another beer garden, just throwing it out there. Well, listen, your mother passing is one thing we have in common. My mom passed when she was 50. And I think we're probably around the same. I'm 49 now, so somewhere around the same age. But like, that's, your mom was sick earlier on and then passed at 60. That's young, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a gap that kind of doesn't go away. And it's funny, it kind of does drive me as well too. My dad is also like a serial entrepreneur. Like he is a dental salesman who did about a month in college and then holds multiple patents because he discovered some process where he can take iodine nanobubbles and clean out heat exchangers on Navy ships. Somehow, some way, right? So, like years and years ago, I started a software company called Datability that I use in schools to collect IEP data for special ed kids. And I was kind of on the fence. I was like, oh, it's a lot of money, but I know there's a need for it. And he was like, yo, just do it. He's like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if you could pull something out of the ether that wasn't there before and make it, you created that. So whether it fails or succeeds,
Yeah.
that's 90% more than anyone in the world is going to do. And it's
Yeah.
true. Like it's been relatively successful, not like a huge hit, but enough where it pays for itself and it's there and it wasn't there beforehand. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you have to be willing to take the, ball crushing risk of like putting money into things and whether it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, and at that point, you know, if I'd failed, you know, money to me at that point, in the way I think differently now because I have two younger kids again, um, is I'll make it back. And,
Hmm.
I don't, and I actually was reading a lot of research and surveys on people that were on their deathbeds, and what they wish they had done. And a lot of them was to, get away from what they weren't happy doing in their professional careers and follow a passion. So I'm like, I know, God forbid when I'm there, I'll say
Mhm.
I did it, and I'll probably have some other regrets, on maybe other things I didn't know how to do. But that opening my restaurant is not going to be one of them. It's something that I did. I definitely made a lot of mistakes. I think there were some huge things looking back that could have changed the trajectory, my growth trajectory. In bringing in partners, understanding P&L a little bit better, cash flow, and things like that. And
Mhm.
the restaurant business is just the profit is in the detail,
Yeah.
and really understanding costs in a way that is very, very micro. And then once understanding it is how do you execute to make sure you're at the top of the curve efficient. You're efficient and at the top of the curve for your for maximizing profit because your margins are so low. Uh,
Mhm.
but that said, we've driven, and then of course, COVID hits, and
Uh-huh.
then
Yeah.
I was just like, I put an advisory board around me, that I was telling people I wanted to do this. And, I had two chefs, I had a banker, and then just some, close friends who I respected. And, they all were like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I wasn't listening to that part
Of
of it.
course not.
But no one ever told me about pandemics and watch out for the pandemic. And when we opened, we were 12, 15 deep at the bar, packed, 2-hour waits. Really just was really awesome. The first weekend there, the New York Islanders came and just rented the place from me.
Oh,
Like I was in heaven, and I'm a huge Islander fan.
that's awesome.
University of Islander.
Nice,
Uh,
nice.
um, and that was so much. I was just so satisfied and really thought I hit the pinnacle, but peaks and valleys. And once COVID hit, it just shut everything down. And again, I didn't panic. I didn't feel stress. I don't know why I was oddly calm. I knew that, you know, we stopped spending money, so we weren't throwing money out the door. We had diverted a lot of the rent. I wasn't aware of the loans that were going to be made available to us, which
Yeah.
really helped out in terms of
Mhm.
the PPP money and the retention credit money. The government didn't, they got a lot of businesses back on their feet, so we
Yeah.
were very thankful for that. But ultimately, I don't think I've ever really hit my goal of being in St. Louis or on the Missouri and down to Florida in terms of the amount of um, stores I want to have. So that really ties into partnerships, visions, being in alignment. And I think that's one thing I'll take away from the restaurant experience is really understanding if you are bringing in partners who they are. And I trust my partners from a trust perspective, but from a vision and being in alignment and understanding roles, it really can be a significant hindrance to achieving my goals, which was multiple stores, multiple states.
I mean, it's probably the preeminent place in East Meadow for sure. I mean, every teacher function I go to, every like we did a like a wine tasting dinner there like about a year ago. Great name, Garden Social. I feel like that's a franchisable name for sure. So
100. It
Garden
is.
Social West.
You think? I mean, and the key is, when you get into your first stores and you want to expand is understanding and being able to templatize operations process and so on, so it's repeatable, and you're not reinventing the wheel as you continue to go down, because it's hard enough to scale 50 employees in one location. Now multiply that across 4 stores and 200 employees. But there's still an opportunity there. However, as I look at where I want to go, things seasons changes, and I'll always have the restaurant, or we'll see directionally which way we go with that. But there's opportunity everywhere. There's needs and
Mhm.
products that fit needs. Everywhere you look. So I'm always on the prowl.
What made you go towards doing Cafe Swirls also?
So
Um,
Cafe Swirls used to be Swirls and Twirls. It
mhm.
was there for 12 years in that location. I brought my first. bunch of kids, older kids that
Nice.
I used to bring there all the time.
Mhm.
And to me, I love Froyo,
Me too.
and
Me too.
so it's not a hard business, or so I thought, to run. And so I said, my fiance and I, she wanted to do it, and we had the idea of, obviously it's seasonal, and we're really feeling the pinch now, given this weather, which is
Yeah.
insane, but that's just the way it goes. uh, by bringing in coffee and specialty drinks, cappuccinos, lattes, and all sorts of specialty lattes and so on. We thought we can offset a lot of the downturn in the Froyo for December through February, which is where we feel the real downturn in sales. So we combined the both. Instead of swirls and twirls, we call it Cafe Swirls.
Perfect.
Cleaned it up. The brand is super clean. The place is super clean, and we gave it a run. So I put some money into it just to, and did all the work. I got it
Yeah.
open within 2 weeks. So that was a 24/7 to do, and it's going well. Once we get into February, March, things really turn around substantially. And one of the things that and we have a landlord that actually is open to working with us and talking to us, and as long as we're communicating and telling them what's going on, is this is we have a big space, you
Mhm.
know, and so the rent is very big. And so when you look at the rent to revenue ratio, it's out of whack. And to the landlord's point, she's like, you knew this going in. I said I did. I thought I'd see bigger growth on the coffee to help offset that. Um, but let's talk about what we can do to really, we're profitable, and
Mhm.
but let's like be real about, is the time worth the throughput or the output that you're getting?
Right.
And they're open to talking about it. But I love it, and it's not a hard business to run, although I've become a refrigeration expert overnight. So I basically bought 8 used cars that serve Froyo and make lots of noises, and I gotta figure out what they are. So I can diagnose it down to where it's going wrong,
Yeah.
and then if I can fix it, fix it. If not, I gotta bring in a maintenance guy, which all adds up. Again, it's all about managing P&L and understanding cost.
I mean, and that's like all of this stuff you're talking about is not something you're to learn in a college classroom, right? Like the on the ground, boots on the ground, being able to problem solve. That's where the mastery and the grit and the resilience comes in, which is obviously you have it. But one thing you mentioned in our kind of like pre talk here, you have a lot of faith, God, family work. Like, how did that become your order? Was that always something that you had God wise inside of you, or did that come
That
later
was
on?
that came through my parents. They're
Mhm.
very, very religious. They were Episcopalian, and my mom would definitely make us go to church every Sunday.
Mhm.
And you look at just their lives, how they lived it, and they're generally, we're middle class folks, and they were genuinely happy and had a great family around them. They were the glue. They always made and looked after all of kids. There was 8 of us as kids. We had
Wow.
five siblings and 3 adopted cousins. And yeah, so we were a big household, and it was all centered around that Sunday church, and then even as simple as grace at night and just being
Mhm.
thankful. And you lose that over time. That's peaks and valleys as well. And you find yourself, when times are good, you kind of forget about it a bit. And then when times are bad, or you're just, uncertain or living anxiously or whatever it might be that's on your mind, you tend to reach out a bit more. And I think for me, there's so much to be mindful and thankful for in the moment. And
Mhm.
certainly I have a 5-month-old daughter now, and a 4-year-old son. And I'm 52. So the days that I'm with them, and it is constant. Like I'm feeling her hand touch my hand, and I'm like really aware.
That's
And
awesome.
that's something I didn't have with my first 2 kids. But I was, I was in another world in advertising, and that's different. So the entrepreneur part of me gives me flexibility to spend time, which
Yeah.
and that's the time I wanna be spending.
Mhm.
I do love the creative part of being an entrepreneur. I like the risk reward of being an entrepreneur. I like the ability to operate on my own. But more importantly, I like the flexibility to be at every soccer game, be at every practice, and wake up and do the work at 5 in the morning if I choose to,
Yeah.
you know? And those are my power hours. Real early in the morning, I can see beach balls coming at me.
Nice.
As the day goes on, it's BBs. I can't
Yeah,
see.
that's a good way to put it. My kids I have a 17-year-old and two 14-year-olds. And, you put it correctly. Like, if I had, and we're not having another child, but it would be nice to be able to enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah,
Because like when you have kids, we were young when we had kids, right? So like it's like coming at you from all ends. You don't have time to kind of like sit back and bask in the fact that you made a human being,
yeah.
and like,
Or do you even understand or have the experience to understand what's next?
yeah.
So I have that, so I can pretty much tell I can work with anybody and give them experience and from
Yeah.
newborn up to college. I don't know beyond college, but I'll figure that out soon.
Dude, college is next year. My son's a senior, so we're applying to schools now. So it's
Terrific.
we're looking at price tags. I wish my software business was better. but but it's wild though, man. Yeah, I think it's funny, speaking of like church and God and stuff, like I grew up in a Catholic family also, and we went to church every Sunday. And then there was a distinct time when we stopped going to church. My mom kept going, but my mom had gotten sick. So she kept going. We obviously as kids did not want to go to church. It was not like the fun thing to do on a Sunday. And we didn't go. And we didn't go back again. I didn't go back again until my kids got into, religion class, right? So you had to go to church a bunch of Sundays and write about it. And I went back and I was like, you know what? It's actually really nice to give an hour once a week to kind of be thankful for the things that you have. Like life could be so much worse, right?
Yeah,
And life isn't bad. And you're right. When things are good, you kind of don't think about it. But when things get shitty, you're like, ooh, I wish that God would pop up again,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so
But
it's
I'll tell you
important.
that Sunday hour and a half is refreshing. But what's even more refreshing is making it habitual a couple times a day
Hmm.
and really just taking time to sit back, give the anxieties away, as they say, and be mindful of the blessings.
Hmm.
And then it kind of brings everything back to zero and you refocused, a lot of that pressure or stress is kind of alleviated. You're more clear on kind of how you want to knock things down. Um, and that to me is what I'm trying to train myself to do.
Hmm.
And a lot of times I feel guilty because I feel like I'm being selfish in my thoughts and my prayers. But I'm not. And he says,
Yeah.
give it to him. But that takes work. So, I constantly I have to remind myself. It's almost like setting alarms
Hmm.
and just say, hey, let me take 5 minutes to read something or think about something or talk to him. And
Yeah.
it ends up how but again, it is habitual and it's a daily recurring thing that you gotta remind yourself to do. Like, I haven't done it today and I forgot. So I'm like, "Okay, when I'm done here," I'm like
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
yeah.
If you want to feel lazy, have you ever seen Mark Wahlberg's schedule of what he does in his
Oh
life?
god, that's amazing. It's a yeah, I'll tell you, like, that guy has inspired me in more
Yeah.
ways than one.
Yeah.
Back in the day when he was doing, Mark and Mark and the Funky Bunch, and he had that workout video where he's
Yep.
pumping cinder blocks. I listened to that all day long and worked out as much as I could to him. And then, of course, I actually met him once. He used to work at Scores in the city.
Nice.
He
Awesome.
does the cabaret. And then, of course, I saw his workout schedule. So, yeah, he's up at 3 in the morning. I'm impressed.
You got to get up, pray at 3 in the morning. Clearly, only eat cage-free eggs, and
Dip yourself in ice. It's like, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Listen, the ice bath is one thing I can't get behind yet. I've tried; it sucks. I don't think it's worth it. Like even a cold shower blows. I don't like
That
it.
sucks. No way. I can't breathe.
But if I need to, like, I'll take a sauna all day. Give me a sauna. If that's good for me, I'll do it. But like the ice bath, I can't get behind. So that's great. I think it's funny. You look at the world these days and we're so kind of like secular, like where people are pushing mindfulness, meditation, mindfulness. Well, you're taking a really esoteric idea and trying to make it regular. right? So if you're going to do mindfulness, you might as well just pray. It's the same thing, right? Like, don't
Yeah.
clear your mind, give thanks to, and look, our friend Mark is like a spiritual guru, right? And Mark is like plugged into whatever is going on behind the scenes, I think. And so whether you want to call it, God, you want to call it spirit, you want to call it just the underlying force of the world, right? Like, you got to be thankful that we, up until this point, are the only things alive in the universe. So
My loves our universe, right? Our solar system. And so he's got me watching these YouTube like planets.
mhm,
It's incredible. Like when you
crazy.
really take a look at it and you're like looking at Venus and Saturn's rings and up close, and we have actual, spacecraft like circulating it,
Yeah.
and the images that are coming back, it's like, and it's not even a solid planet, it's gas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on? And then you see where the little Earth is in that whole kind of
Yeah.
system, and you're like, this is too much.
It's miraculous. It really kind
It's
of is. Like, we want to go to Mars so bad. Mars sucks. Like, honestly, it rains like methane gas. It's not a great place to be. So, no,
But when
thank
you
you.
look at it from that perspective, like doing your own business or doing your own thing, it's a speck of sand in the whole kind of, what are we doing? Our
Right.
time is limited. Who cares? Run naked through the streets. No one's going to remember anyway. It's like, well, be impressed. So it's like,
Yeah. Well, you told me about your newest venture, and I am like a super duper techie. I love everything that has to do with technology and kind of bleeding edge. And it sounded bleeding edge to me. I've never heard of cleaning energy before. Like,
yeah.
try to explain that to me. What is this new? Is this a new technology? What is it?
It isn't a new technology. It's just done in a way that's a lot more efficient. So what we do is we condition or correct what's called power factor in large facilities. So hospitals, data centers, any big manufacturing, anyone that's running big motors and high
Hmm.
electric bills. These large motors cause a lot of what's called reactive power. And the simplest way to put it is if you buy a pint of beer in
Hmm.
the beer garden kind of vertical, right? You buy a pint of beer, you have beer and then foam. You're
Hmm.
paying for the whole glass,
Hmm.
but that foam is waste. So our system reduces the foam.
Oh,
So
wow.
you're getting basically more efficient power dollar for dollar on what you're paying from these ludicrous electricity bills you're currently getting.
Yeah.
And so it comes into facility clean. It's more efficient. You're getting cheaper electric. You're also eliminating penalties for having a lot of foam in your
Hmm.
system, and then you're also extending the life of your equipment because it's not drawing
Right.
and struggling to basically work. On the flip side, utilities love it because it frees up capacity on their grid. So it's a double-edged sword where Con Ed actually, has all these problems in Jamaica with, the grid is at its max. The Jamaica
Yeah.
substation is a mess. So, you know, we were working with people in the Jamaica substation where they saw lots of reactive power, it's called, phone,
Hmm.
and began installing these systems to help alleviate grid capacity, but also reduce bills and create more efficient power for customers. Um, and so it's called True Phase Power, and the product name is True Phase IQ. So what it does is it conditions power,
Hmm.
it cleans up harmonics, which are
Right.
also caused by motors,
Vibration, heat, the whole thing.
vibration, heat,
Yeah.
and then eliminates transients and spikes. And the fourth component is the data,
Uh-huh.
where our tagline is where power meets intelligence.
Hmm.
And so all this data coming in allows folks running the facility and engineers to be more proactive and find faults in the system before they occur to increase uptime.
Dude. So it's amazing. Actually, it kind of a little bit dovetails with what my dad does. He's, like I said, he created a process that creates nano bubbles, which are these, ultimately small bubbles that are, and the only way you can do it is by filling them with iodine gas, because iodine gas has a positive charge and the bubble has a negative charge. So the bubble never pops. And you can't see them. And the process he created in his basement, like he used to play with mercury as a kid. Like we played with mercury as kids in the basement because he was in dental sales. So he'd be like, guys, check this out. mercury. I'm like, that is,
Yeah.
we have like Mad Hatter's disease now because of that. But um, so what that does, he takes that and uses it in heat exchangers in large power grids, right? So when you have, large heat going back and forth, it cleans the exchangers. And it kind of dovetails a little bit. I actually told him about this a little bit before, after I spoke to you at your shop. I was like,
Yeah.
there's a guy doing energy conditioning. I feel like
Yeah.
it makes sense
It's
for
called
you.
automated power factor correction.
I'm going to write that down right now.
Yeah. So
Um,
power factor correction is measured as a number, and a 0.98 power factor is basically perfect power. So it's dollar for dollar. You're getting what you paid for. Very low reactive power. A lot of these large facilities, i.e., data centers, we have to do a energy survey and test through transmitters and stuff, but
mhm,
um, and they are running in the point 0.8, 0.85, and utilities ding them for penalties every month if they're below a 9.5, and that's
mhm.
going to be nationwide given what the utilities are pulling off, right? Um, and we bring that all the way up to a 0.98 uh,
Wow.
automatically, 365, 24/7.
Crazy.
Um, so I actually just signed. I'm so thankful. Working on this deal for a year and a half. It's a data center in Ashburn, Virginia, which basically 90% of the internet traffic runs through Ashburn and
Wow.
Kansas, um, where they're building a data centers everywhere in that county. And this particular data center is obviously they're investors in these data centers and they're a money making operation. They buy their electric in bulk, in their case from Dominion, which is the big utility company, the
Yeah.
power company down there. Um, but the power factor going into this retrofitted building is below 0.85. So the investors are like, "Where's my return?"
Yeah.
They're basically paying 85, and they upsell the electric. That's
Uh-huh.
part of their model. So there's by us creating perfect power, we're increasing
Ooh,
ROI for the investors immediately, all
awesome.
day long, and increasing the uptime. So there's, all the mechanics, all the transients are kind of taken out. Now, this is a very modular unit, so it can kind of fit in. A lot of the problems we have is going into an electrical room and finding space to put
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
Um, so the newer facilities are speccing us in, is the idea, and the older facilities, we're getting more kind of creative in terms of the sizing on how we can kind of fit these in based on the load that they need.
That's
So
pretty awesome. I mean, that's amazing. Okay. One thing I want to tell you, I actually just watched an interview with this guy, I think Jay Wah from, it's called Nano, and they're building nano nuclear reactors. It's like a tiny little nuclear reactor that you can use for pretty much your daily living, right? And their nuclear fuel is completely kind of radiation proof, right? It's encapsulated in tank armor. So these things I don't think they've come out with the actual reactor yet, but they're working with the University of Illinois. So I feel like at some point that's to factor into your business.
Yeah, well, right now, like there's hyperscalers, there's co-location, and there's edge centers. And the co-location are multiple companies within the facility, and then the edge are really kind of facilities that have taken over kind of either dilapidated or existing buildings,
Mhm.
um, or these wireless cars having signals close to them. Any kind of local kind of signals that you need would be on the edge. But the hyperscalers are all looking for, ways in building nuclear water cooled technology. There's all sorts of stuff. So we take existing technology and make it better. So that's what we're trying to do.
Man, dude, good luck to you with that one. Because honestly, I do think that's where the future lies, right? You want bleeding edge technology, but we have such an infrastructure already. You want to be able to make it perform the way it should perform. So that's fantastic. So, all right, we're going to close it up, but I have 3 questions for you. So what's one mistake that other people should avoid when becoming a serial entrepreneur? Something that you think that you wish you saw coming.
I think operating agreements
Hmm.
and making sure you're really crystal clear if you're going to go with partners on vision, mission, roles, responsibilities, everything under the sun. And there's no question that's, not a good question, because you need to have that all mapped out in your head and be in alignment from the beginning. Now, things change and they do, but in that operating agreement, those all address those changes, right? What's we're going to do, how we're going to vote, like what would, but you're all on the same page, and
Hmm.
it alleviates and knowing your partner's strengths and weaknesses, right? So if your partner isn't good at turning on an email or understanding a spreadsheet, that's something really big because
Yeah.
it's like you know um but there are other strengths that partner might have, and how do you know how do you get the most out of that partner? And I think partnerships are really really tough, and if you're thinking about getting into your own business, um I just be really clear with your partners on what it is you all want and have it all mapped out, or get over whatever it is stopping you from doing it yourself and
Hmm.
do it yourself.
Well, you answered my second question, so that's good. And then last thing I want to ask you, is there anything we didn't touch on that you wanted to touch on today? Anything that you want to add or give us a nugget, whatever you, if there's anything we didn't touch on at all.
I think with entrepreneurship, it's 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 24/7, 365, Katie, personally and in that relationship of what's happening so that everyone's on the same page, and the time is there because balance is also really important. But I can find myself like just off in a daze or looking at my phone or addressing something because it all stops with you. And so if you can set up a company so that you're not so it's working for you rather than you working for it, and
Right.
that means getting the people involved, the good people that you need. Cafe, not so much. It is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
but as a restaurant or Truth Phase Power, getting the right people in, so you know you have great people around you to make it better and grow faster.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that, and my dad also spoke about this because, he was on two sides of a coin. I'm actually trying to get him to look into partnerships because I feel like as one person, you can only take it so far, and you need to bring in people that are going to see cracks and ideas that you didn't see and fill the gaps because, yes, you have a singular idea on how something should run. But if you bring in the right person that has a different view, even from a different industry, that can see where you can fit your idea into a different area, and even if you lose a little bit of ownership of it, it just grows together. So I think that's super important. And yeah,
I,
24/7 is
yeah,
really
at
like,
Truth Phase, we have a board of directors that is very diverse. We have someone that's was an exec at Intel, is now a an ambassador of an island in the Caribbean, which is really cool. We have a federal judge that was appointed by Ronald Reagan.
wow,
We have a chairman that was part of the MySpace startup. We have engineers. So it's a multifaceted board, all very distinguished people that bring unique things to the table and different ideas. So I'm learning so much
that's
as I
cool.
sit there and just listen and like, wow, and the stories they have. I mean, geez,
I'm sure. I'm sure.
it's just amazing.
Dude, I mean, that's fantastic. And listen, man, I wish you the best of luck in the future. I'm excited to see where your energy company goes. Excited to get more Froyo for sure. 2026, I did say I was not going to get as much ice cream, but I probably will. I'm not going to lie. It's so close to where I work.
Oreos is not ice cream.
It's true. You're right. You're
It's
right.
it's fat free. We have a low sugar kind of option with our strawberries, so it's not that
Sold. Absolutely sold. Well, Dave, listen, man, it was a real pleasure to talk to you today, and I'm looking forward to seeing everything you do in the future. And yeah, listen, if you ever want to come back on and update us with everything, I'd love to hear from you. And again, it's really nice talking to you, buddy.
Thank you very much.
All right, man, take it easy. Be well. All right.
Okay.